Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to more Girls Last Tour, episode 7 this time around. It's been a little bit, not too long actually. Last time we have met Ishi, who seems to be an old adult in this world, at the very least older than Yuri and Chito. And it's very interesting how we try to get over to the next city. We have no idea if there's any people alive there. But the occurrence of the two adults that we've met in this world at least proves that there's still remnants of the old world left, remnants of whatever came before, even though we still have little to no idea what actually came before. If there is a lot of history there that the adults of this world do know. If they do know, they don't talk about it a lot, be that due to personal choices of not wanting to talk about it because a lot of the stuff that happened is highly traumatic and sensitive subjects and whatnot, or be that because they don't know themselves. Obviously, there's always the possibility that we don't know how long this conflict has been going on. So it could be a generational thing, right? That for decades this war has been waging on, and we don't have the knowledge anymore of who started the wars or the conflicts with whom and what even happened. We don't know if there's other countries or cities that are actually fine and that are doing okay. So it's very possible that when you fly over 2-3 cities, suddenly there's still a lot of war and craziness going on and you don't even know that, especially if it's far enough away that you wouldn't see the impact of rockets or anything else. So it's very possible that this civilization that we the cityscapes that we are moving in are not necessarily all there is to it, and that this city, this mega city, almost like a dystopian sci-fi novel, is just in itself this part of the civilization has been almost eradicated and or evacuated, because there's been a lot of city spaces that haven't been destroyed or completely leveled, and you see a lot of stuff that has been emptied out. So it feels almost like a ghost city where there's a lot of history but people abandoned it, or at the very least the people who stayed here, they died, and the people who fled early on, they had abandoned it. So maybe it's a mix of the two. Either way, I wonder if we're gonna see our characters again, if we meet up in the end, or if there's I heard there's a manga ending to this which has 1 or 2 episodes worth of stuff still in there that didn't make it into the anime, probably because there wasn't enough there for another season, which is very much a shame. And I kind of am annoyed at the fact that, especially back in the day, there was at least around, I think, the 2000s mark and 2010s, that there was a lot of formulaic approach to this, whereas 12 episodes or 10 episodes are being greenlit, and then there's not more budget for more episodes, even if you only needed 1 or 2 more to actually conclude the story. But we'll see how that ends. I mean, Girls Last Tour is a very open-ended story anyway, right? So we are going in search of the upper echelons, the peak, the top level of the city, to explore what's up there. But as of now, we don't know if Chito or Yuri have a specific goal in mind. I don't think so, right? They just want to see what's out there. That's by its last tour. It's kind of like wandering through a destructed world and seeing what you find out there. If you can find out something that piques your curiosity, maybe if you go up all the way up there, you get more information on how to survive in this world. And obviously we do have that survival element that goes through the entire story, so it's very much possible that we are, in the back of our mind, we're looking for something. Or maybe the grandpa, or whoever he was, who sent us off, he actually had something in mind for us. showed us something or told us we're gonna go all the way up there because XYZ, but at the very least we as the audience are right now not prone to it, and the series has very much an episodic structure where, or even just like within the episodes, we have different small little chapters. It's almost like a manga that has like a short panel manga where it's like four pages or 5 pages is a story, and then you get to the next story, like journal entries basically. And it's being told in a very disconnected, loose way. You still have the red thread that is going through the entire story. We still have our goals, we have our themes that keep coming back, because this is how it's working in real life as well, right? Themes of survival, themes of wonder and curiosity, themes of philosophy and approaches to life, right? You versus Cheeto, how do we, right? Characters and personalities, themes of wondering how people used to work back in the old world, right? Philosophy, kind of a very, very unique, interesting look at religion and not cults, but religions and beliefs and kind of like societal structures from an outside perspective of a viewpoint of very young individuals that never gotten to see the height of civilization, which is super interesting because on the one hand you're have a fresh mind that isn't overburdened with all of these socio-cultural aspects that are being implicitly taught to each and every one of us, at least simulated. Obviously our author who is writing this whole thing is right within the socio-cultural influence of Japan. But I think like there's individuals who can actually distance themselves more from such socio-cultural aspects and find a way to kind of see it from a bird's eye perspective, even if it's not a perfect bird's eye perspective. And there's still preconceived notions that we build into our stories. There's still stuff that's happening around us that we treat a certain way that are influenced in large parts by how the world looks, like how the world is interpreted by us, and that itself is seen through the lens of our own upbringing, of our own culture and all of that. But there's people who can distance themselves a little bit more from it, free themselves a bit more, put themselves more into different perspectives, or approach things with a naive mindset. And I think Girls Last Tour has done a really, really good job of doing that, which is amazing because we can think about all kinds of concepts of life and philosophy and thinking, right, from a meta perspective too, without having to let all of the things that we've experienced burden ourselves down, right? And it makes us more creative, it makes approaches more interesting, even if asking certain questions might seem naive, it might seem stupid or silly for some of us. It's still like a very interesting way to approach something without moving along roads that have already been tread, right? Moving along thought patterns that are already very established within our modern mindset. So yeah, I'll make a short little cut and we'll be back for the episode proper in just a second. There's going to be 2 versions of this. There's going to be the PIP version on Patreon. If you want to check that out full length, it's going to be there. And over here, we're going to have a timer set up and sync it up with the episodes for you all to enjoy. Leave me a like, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff if you do enjoy these episodes and want to see more, not only in Girls Last Tour, but other stuff as well. And let's get this party started. All right, Girls Last Tour episode 7 starts in 3, 2, 1, go. What are we doing? We're balancing on something. Is there like an abyss right in front of us or something? Or an animal? What are you up to? you was just like, alright, whatever. What's that echo? Okay, okay, we're on a big pipe.
しょうがないな。
Hmm.
ここを通るしかないってちいちゃんが言ったんじゃない。いや、まあそうなんだけど。
Yeah, I feel that, alright. Yeah, we're looking into, like, death, basically.
これは無理だわ。
She's halfway in and she's like, I can't. Impressive structure as always. Alright. Did we get over? No, we didn't.
石井が書いてくれた食料生産施設への地図にはこの先に行けばわかるとしか書いてなかったし。
So they're still looking for the rations, okay.
わかるのかなこれ。だけどこの先にまだ食料があるって言うんだから。
Labyrinth.
だったら行くしかないじゃん。
行くしかない。
ほら。
Come on, come on, come on.
何も食べなくても生きていけたらな。そんなの生きてるとは言わないぜ。
That is such a nice philosophy. Right? She's like, even if I could.
ほら行こう。
Right? Because eating is like everything to her. It's one of her joys in life. I totally get that. Ignore the stain on my shirt.
ちいちゃん、大丈夫？そうだ、こういう時こそ。あれだよ。あれ？
But oh, okay.
好きだね、これ。別に好きじゃない。落ちる時は道
I was thinking the same thing actually just now.
私が落ちた瞬間に、ユウが反対に落ちれば。
Yeah, but how do you get back up?
難易度高いの。でもなかなか治らないね。高いところ苦手なの。
And she's always looking down, interestingly enough, right? While Yu's just looking ahead.
だいたい私たちってそもそもすごく高いところで暮らしてる。
That's true, but you're not seeing it right away.
それとはちょっと違うような。ユウは今お腹空いてる？空いてるか。
She always
い
is.
つも空いているよね。いや、いつもよりめちゃめちゃ空いてる。あ、そうか。つまりちいちゃんはめちゃめちゃ怖いんだね。まあ、それに近いかも。
She's just way more scared than usual.
ねえちいちゃん、道ってこっちで合ってるのかな。多分。
Tabu. Tabu.
よいしょ。よいしょ。ちいちゃん。1、2。ワン、ツー。
She would never make it through this without you and her, like, energy. That's a nightmare though, to be honest. Are we just gonna make camp?
ランタン置いてきちゃった。あらあら、今日はもう引き返す？
But where's back?
というか私たちどっちから来たんだっけ？もしかして
Lost?
迷ったか。
Mm-hmm.
でもほら、私たちっていつも迷ってるようなもんだし。
Technically, yes.
少し違うような。
we interesting theme, right?
迷ってる。
Hungry, always hungry. Lost, always lost. Scared, always scared.
ねえ、いっそのこと今日はここで寝るってのは？それは絶対やだ。私が寝返りで落ちたら、ちいちゃんは反対側に落ちてね。難易度高すぎる。じゃあ、とにかく進むしかないね。
We got it, yeah.
気をつけろよ。大丈夫、なんとかなるよ。ユウが大丈夫って言うと逆に危険な気がする。ぬーん。足元気をつけろって。うわっ、
Whoa. Why is it so lit up?
じいちゃんが。
What's happening? What's in there? What's in these pipes? The rope might actually... Ooh, these are like not like water pipes or anything. What the hell? And it's actually with arrows, so they were all just like going forward and not knowing where to go.
行けばわかるってのはこういうことか。矢印まであるよ。めちゃめちゃ道だね。ああ、今までの苦労は何だったんだ。
Lessons learned, I guess.
でも管の入り口なんてあったっけ？多分見落としてたんだろう。
Probably. Okay. They were just like, okay, let's go on the pipe.
ここを通って行き来してたんだろうな。なるほど。
Who built this? Like, what the hell?
じいちゃん、スタミナで一歩一歩ゆっくりね。
That's the way to go. And she's still looking down.
ちょっと休憩しようか。 こんなに大きな管もあったんだな。
What was that for, right? Like, it's like... Because, like, it's not a maintenance tunnel.
落ちてるね。でかい。流れてきたのかな。普段からこんな風に矢印があれば楽なのにな。つまんないよ。つまんないって。
Explain you.
このまま簡単についたら面白くないから。
You want to make the decisions yourself.
あ、探検。例えばあの穴とかさ。却下。目的地を目前にして道しるべを無視するやつがどこに
You.
どこにいるか。本当にやめて。
Exactly.
ごめん。はあ、今度めちゃめちゃ迷う。
You so ADHD coded.
そして死ぬ。そっか。じゃあこのままでいいや。だろ。だね。
The little beat at the end. I really like that. Cooking. Okay, what are we cooking? I mean, we've been cooking all series, so... I don't know how different that's gonna be. Just holes in the ground with ladders attached to them. That's amazing. It's especially strong right now, her anxiety. like, I mean, you notice that even in people who are who have phobias or other kind of fear related disorders or oppressive compulsive disorders, that especially in phases where you're very stressed, right, everything is already very high octane. You have that there's a stress hormone called cortisol that probably most of you have heard before, and that's being excreted a lot during high stress phases. The problem is that this hormone being excreted also activates other systems, right? So when you're somebody who has a phobia or like certain anxieties or certain things, and then you are in a lot of stress, be that through deprivation of food, right? Like desperation to be like to survive. It can be through other mental illnesses as well, right? Depression, schizophrenia, whatever. And or just high overstimulation of like visual stimuli or auditory stimuli, whatever, right? Like a lot of stuff is happening, is overwhelming you. Or you are very stressed, right? You have a packed schedule, you have something that puts you under pressure, that makes you worry. And obviously, as or maybe not so obviously, but as a side effect of that, of just your entire system excreting stress hormone, and it activates other like organs and key players in this entire system, in this entire circulatory system of hormones and neurotransmitters and whatnot. And what keeps happening is that things like your anxieties, your oppressive compulsive disorders, all of these things, they keep flaring up and they keep being more intense because you are generally more stressed, which is a problem, right? Because then that in turn does stress you even more, right? And sabotage you and trouble you, and that in itself is going to cause more stress, which is going to cause more excretion of cortisol. So it's kind of a vicious circle in that way as well. What is it a potato? Because it's not really one. Like, it looks like there's plastic around it. Or is that just the way they paint it? Or like the way it's drawn?
これだけだね、残ってるの。少しだけ残ってると石井も言ってたけど、少しすぎる。意外とぼんやりしてるよね、あの人。だから翼が折れるんだよ。おい。
No.
石井もお前にだけは言われたくないだろうよ。
Yeah, exactly. You're the same.
施設の中は隅々まで探してみないと。
Yeah, maybe there's more, right? I mean, all of the systems still seem to work, like rotering systems, light systems. Scary. Ouch.
こういうのってさ、何の機械なんだろう。食料生産施設なんだから、そりゃ食料を生産するための機械だろ。食料ってさっきの芋じゃなくて？なんだろこれ。
I mean, it's a red button. It should shut something off and not on, but... you? Please? Wait, since when is a green button shutting stuff off? Put her on. Put her on. Put it on. Let her walk. I mean, she's not wrong. She could have just jumped sideways. Powder. Okay. Gunpowder or food? Yeah, it's probably turning that into grain. Turning grain into and potatoes into flour. Potato powder. Probably.
ちょっと甘い。甘い。これあの味がするな。
Giotto. No, it's of course it's strength. Starch.
つまりこれがこうなったってことか。さっきの機械。ちーちゃんも
You're figuring things out.
でもつまり食べれるってことじゃん。芋は煮て食べてたけど、粉はどうすればいいんだろう。
Soup?
焼くとか？
We could bake it too, right? Cooking. Now our mission is cooking.
これも動くかな。
Let there be light.
焼く機械みたいだし、やっぱり焼いてたのかな。ねえねえちーちゃん、これなんて読むの？砂糖だな。砂糖、向こうに落ちてた。甘いよ。
It's very sweet, probably.
甘いな。砂糖、どこかで見た気が。ねえ、思い出したんだけど、芋はレーションの材料だって言ってたよね。食べ物の話はちゃんと覚えてるんだな。
Of course she is.
あ、そうか。
Do we have a recipe?
レーションの材料表示に砂糖って書いてある。塩ってのもあるな。あ、はい。別の袋もありました。マジか。ってことは、芋、砂糖、塩で、もしかしてレーション作れるんじゃ。マジか。すげえ。よーし。
But how much? How much? Is it gonna taste terrible because you're just gonna put all of it in?
おじいさんとパンを焼いたことがあったじゃない。あのパンは美味しかった。食べ物の話はちゃんと覚えてるんだな。
We established that.
あの時みたいにやればいいんじゃないかな。粉と砂糖と塩を混ぜて、水を加えながらこねる。こねる。
But taste it. Please taste it.
こねる。こねる。こねる。
Panera.
こねる。こねる。こねる。こねる。こねる。こねる。こねる。こねる。結構しんどい。でもなんか触り心地が変わってきたね。ほんとだね。わ、めっちゃもちもちしてきた。もちもち。
Mochi. Is that what dough is called? Right? Is that why mochi is called the way it is called? You're gonna need a long time for that. I'm always wondering, does producing food, right, like vegetables, whatever, right, you're baking stuff, whatever, does it cost more energy than you actually gain through eating it? That wouldn't make sense, right? There's gotta be some surplus, otherwise you're not gonna, it's not gonna work for you as a human being to keep yourself alive, right? Alright, we're making rations, I guess. How do they take it out, though? It's gonna be hot as all hell.
焼き加減に気をつけなきゃ。まだすぎるだろ。もういいかな。まだだって。
How do you know, Chi?
まだお願いしま。まだちょっとだ。焼けたかな。
They actually have oven mitts, okay?
焼けたかな。
Magical oven mitts.
おお、焼けてる。いい匂い。ちょっと焼きすぎたかな。なんかキラキラしてるね。余った砂糖をかけたやつかな。
Mm-hmm.
では。
Brave soldier. Going ahead. Alright. What's the verdict? Oh, okay. It's good.
生地がまだ残ってるから焼かないとな。あれだけあれば1年くらい持つのでは？無理。見通しが甘すぎる。甘いか。めっちゃ甘いね。これ。
Yeah, you put a lot of sugar into it. Yeah.
甘いって幸せだよね。
If you say so, if you say so. Look at these two girls enjoying life despite everything around them being absolutely destroyed. You dancing and then Chi being like... Alright, I think we're at the end, right? After credits? After credits, okay. After credits. Empty tray.
いっぱいできたね。
A fish, of course. Sakana.
これあれの形。魚？
魚。
これはおじいさんで、これは
金沢。
石。
石、yes.
私。そしてじいちゃん。
Of course, with the ice. I can't. She probably looked exactly like that when she saw it. She was like... giving her the side eye. Okay. Alright. What are we doing? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's not bad. No, it's not bad, right? Because I've recorded with the camera, but sound might be shitty. Recording stopped at some point. I have to check why that is and how that is. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and thankfully it recorded most of the stuff that I had. Just like had like a second or two, like maybe a minute missing for whatever reason. I have no idea, but whatever, right? Whatever. We are back, and we're gonna look over it. We're gonna go back through it, starting out with us having to wonder what the hell is happening, but it's being revealed very shortly. Yu is afraid of heights, and we are going across a giant labyrinth of all kinds of pipes, and we have no idea where we're going. And we're slowly but steadily getting lost. We see that after the OP. Yu is trying to constantly, with her energy, shoving Tito on, but it's only going slowly and we have no idea where we're going. Chito's irrational idea of if she falls, you can fall the other way, and then that kind of balance which kind of only works if both of them have approximately the same weight, and also only works if you react at this like correctly and fast enough. Kind of really sketch, but you know, we are making our way through this because we want to go to that food facility, and it is, as always, like the otherworldly structures and the way we keep like spinning themes very lightly into these episodes is really cool, right? Like look at this frame here. It's dark, it's oppressive, right? It seems very very threatening, right? At the same time though, all that, need the full subtitles. Right, we're talking about like, aren't we always kind of lost? Well, that's kind of different. Aren't you always kind of hungry? Well, that's kind of different. This time I'm more hungry. Aren't you always kind of scared? But that's different. I'm very scared right now. So it's like, right, the difference between anxiety and actual panic or strong fear. The difference between being a little bit hungry and starving, the difference between not being 100% sure where you are and absolutely being lost, right? That theme that kind of goes through the entire episode, or the entire section of the episode here. I was super surprised. I was like, where is this light coming from? Inside a pipe? Like, I know there's like giant like military like tunnels, but that's not a pipe, right? And these are clearly pipes made out of metal, so it's very strange, and like I'm not used to pipes actually being like there for people to walk through them, which is super interesting. I wonder if this used to be a pipe that's like that has been filled with water, and at this point in time it's just being used as, right, like they brought the arrows onto that later on, or maybe like the arrows were there for maintenance and now they've been repurposed and all of that. But everything is still working, and they just overlooked the entrance for it because they didn't expect it in a place like that. So vague instructions plus attention being somewhere else, right? Like, it happens. It happens. And she's like, maybe all of these things, these gears and whatever, washed up. So there must have been like, this also, like the way the ladder is done and whatever, it looks like this was a giant pipe that had like some water going through it. And you could climb down for people who do maintenance and whatever to actually climb down the ladder and take care of that. And it's lit up because of that as well. But yeah, at this point it's just dried out, which is, yeah. And then we have the whole spiel about Yuri being like, well, it's boring to just follow instructions. Let me just like go for chaos and go exploring and just like get ourselves lost in all of these labyrinths. And she's like, nah, we need food, okay? So crazy how everything's just like all of these pipes. It's so disorderly, right? Like how on the one hand you have a kind of basic structure of like you can orient yourself within the room, and it's like, okay, this makes sense from like a geometric perspective, from like a architectural perspective to a degree. But then you have like so many pipes and so many steel steel pillars, and so many like concrete walls and structures and whatnot, and you're like super on so many like little wires, and it makes a very messy impression on somebody who's looking upon a scene like that. And I think that's supposed to be the intended feeling you get when you look at this stuff, that it's disorienting, that it's overstimulating, that it's more complicated than what you can grasp immediately. And then we have, as opposed to that, like very similar unified and like monotone structures as in these plant farms here that seem to have whatever that is, it's they say it's potatoes, but I'm like, this is not a potato. This is not a potato. What is this? Like, is that some kind of like a hyper genetically engineered version of a potato that's supposed to be more nutritious? I have no idea. Why is it white? Why does it look like it's wrapped in something? What the hell? Even like the potato starch is gray in this. The two of them goofing around, which I love, right? These moments are just like, and her just balancing over the top of it. It's typical you, and it's kind of bringing this playful atmosphere in this whole survival scenario. If those two wouldn't be goofing around, if those two wouldn't be like naive and asking questions and thinking about how the world works, and if they wouldn't be like as young as they are, I think like it wouldn't, like, this would be a much more grim show, a much more serious show. And then that seriousness would have to be filled with something, right? Filled with drama, with actual deep anxieties, with like life or death scenarios. But what we have here is the underlying problem of like survival, but at the same time a very unique, like I said, approach to a unique, naive approach to world concepts, which is filling you with this explorative spirit, more like some of these old like survival games, which are like post-apocalyptic, but you feel relatively safe in them because you don't have to scrounge for food and shelter as much, because the monsters, like, there are no monsters out there. It's just like normal animals that are kind of dangerous, but mostly it's about you exploring the world, finding out new things, getting snippets of the old world, right? Lore and just going out there and asking yourself, why did they do things like that, or how does that work, and that's amazing, because it also kind of signifies how the human mind works, right? Especially when you're young, right? You're trying to soak in all this kind of information. There's human curiosity, and it drives you to learn new things, as we've seen in this episode, where we're like, okay, wait, there's like all this powder. How does that work? Oh, it's getting like shredded by that machine that we found earlier. Oh, very funny, you almost got shredded. Wait, how do they do that then, right? I think the stuff is in rations. Okay, so I found this thing that says sugar. Okay, that's in rations too, I think I read that, right? Okay, but in rations there's also something called salt. Oh yeah, I found that too, actually, right? Like, although you can't read, so might be a plot inconsistency here. Otherwise, maybe she just knows the symbols for salt. Whatever, right? And then they find all of that, and they're like, well, Grandpa used to bake us bread. Maybe it's similar, though I'm still not sure how they do with the portions. I guess they just poured it all in, and thinks this is like a facility. It might be standardized portions that work perfectly with one another. So they could be in luck regarding that. Or they've just been like pouring in and tasting every once in a while. That's possible too, of course. And they admitted later on, like, they poured a lot of sugar in it, and that's why it was really sweet. Putting too much salt into it could have been like deadly, or at the very least ruined the rations. So at least they did something right. Right, we boiled them. What do we could bake them, right? We find the baking facility. We put the powder in. We knead the bread, and we start our little chant where we're just like using one word, and then we're saying it differently, and we're saying it differently, and we're saying it differently, and it's just fun to throw that back and forth and just find different ways to like prolong the pronunciation and everything, and just playing around like a kid. And that's just like, it's so relatable, right? Like, it's super relatable. I mean, I'm not there's like a lot of episodes of these that are artistically super impressive. This one isn't. It's not bad. I'm just saying, like, there's like episodes of this that are super impressive from an art standpoint. This one is more thematically interesting, right? Or at the very least, very enjoyable, right? This could be like, I mean, many of these episodes of Girls Last Tour are almost like slice of life / philosophy survival, right? Like it's not anything super serious. We have serious themes that we can go into that underline all of that, or things to think about, things that open your perspective and make you more receptive to ask questions that might seem silly or naive, and I love that. But this is a happy show, and I really love that, right? Like it's a contrast to many things I've experienced over the years in terms of shows. But yeah, the last punchline, her with her side eye towards you, and the perfect way to end this. Okay, next time we are going to watch episode 8 of Girls Last Tour. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I did enjoy it. It was a little bit of a shorter discussion, but I don't think we need to drag that out more than it needs to be. I said all I wanted to say. Go like the video if you liked it. If you want to see more in-depth discussions, there's episodes that we talk a long time about and go into art and go into everything. This feels like more of a low-profile episode that was still very enjoyable. I hope I'll see you next time, and thanks to all my patrons for supporting me throughout this, and also for voting on Girls Last Tour all the way back in the beginning of this year, when I kind of put up the polls and whatnot, and yeah. And thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you next time.